Okay, so now we're going to look at string slicing. Now, string slicing allows you to select parts of a string. So you could select an individual character, or you could slice multiple characters that are next to each other. So what you have to think about is, okay, when you create a string like this one, Newport, what Python does is it creates an index number for each character. So for each of these characters, it creates a separate index number. Now the important thing to remember is that Python starts counting at 0. We start counting at 1, but computers, 0 is a real number, so they start counting at 0. Okay, so this would be 0, and this would be 1. Index number 1. So if I did print town, and the way we tell Python we want a slice of that string is we use square brackets. Square brackets, not round brackets, square. So if I do square brackets and type 1 in, then it should print the second letter, which is E. So when we run it, as you can see down here, it's printed off E. Okay, so that's fine if we want to select a single character. So if we want to select the first character, we would do 0. And then we run that, and it prints off the N. Okay. Now, you might not know exactly how long a string is if somebody's typed it in. So to find the last item, Python has got a little trick. If you do -1, doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But if you do -1, then Python knows that -1 means get the last character in the string. So in this case, it should be a T. So we run it again, and as you can see, it finds the T. Okay, so that's for single characters. Single characters, you can type the index number of the letter or -1 for the last letter. But let's say we want part of a string. Okay, so the way we do that is we give it a starting point, let's say 2, and then we put a colon in. A colon is the important part. That sets it as a range. And then if I do 5, and then we run that, and see what happens. So as you can see here, it's got WPO. So W is 0, 1, 2. So that is index number 2, index 3, index 4. So you notice it stops before it gets to the 5. So it's basically saying do between 2 and 5 without including the 5. That makes no sense either, but that's the way Python works, and we've got to get used to it. Okay, so it says 2, start at 2, stop just before you get to that number, which is 4. So that's 2 to 4, which is them 3 there. Oh, sorry, them 3 there. Yeah, 2, 3, 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it does them 3. Obviously, if I change this to 6, then it would include the next letter. So now, as you can see, it's done those 4. So 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically, it does it between the 2. So you just got to try and remember that it starts at 0 and it finishes 1 before that number. Okay. Now, you can do this without setting one side or the other. So if I get rid of the 6 and just start at 2, what do you think will happen? Well, let's see him run. So if we run it, what it's done, it started at 2. And because we haven't given it an end point, it's gone right to the end of the string. So if you miss off the end point, it does the whole string, starting at where you said to start. Okay, now we can do the same thing on the other side. So if we put 4 in here, and then run that and see what happens. So we haven't got a start point, but we've got an end point. So if we run that, then you can see it starts at the beginning, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then stops. So this is index number 3. This is index number 4. So remember, it stops before it gets to the index number of the letter that it says it is. So you can do start, stop. You can do no start and a stop, and you can do a start without a stop. So slicing allows you to select part of a string. Now I don't have to print it out. I can assign that to a new variable. So I could have my slice equals, and then what I'm doing there is I'm taking part of that string there and creating a new string here. So slicing allows you to select part of a string.